The hospital corridor echoed with an unsettling quiet, the type of silence that carries secrets. Overhead, fluorescent lights flickered sporadically, casting eerie shadows across the linoleum floor. The sterile scent of antiseptic hung in the air, masking the tension boiling beneath the surface. Inside the fertility clinic's most exclusive lab, a young nurse stood frozen. Her trembling hands clutched a vial labeled with an intricate barcode and the name Jared Armitage, the billionaire media mogul whose name was synonymous with power and scandal. The contents of the vial glistened under the harsh light, a life yet unborn, encapsulated in glass. A moment later, the door burst open. Dr. Evan Callahan, the clinic's chief specialist, stormed in. His expression was a mix of exhaustion and controlled panic. "Nurse, is the preparation complete?" he demanded, his voice cutting through the oppressive quiet. "Yes, doctor," she stammered. She hesitated, her eyes darting to the vial. "But—" "No buts," he interrupted. "We're already behind schedule. Our patient is waiting." The nurse swallowed hard. Uncertainty flickered in her eyes, but she nodded and placed the vial into the transfer mechanism. As the machine hummed to life, she whispered a silent prayer, unaware of the storm her actions were about to unleash in another part of town. 24-year-old Ana Rivera adjusted her oversized glasses and glanced nervously at the waiting room clock. Time seemed to crawl, each second echoing her heartbeat. Ana was the kind of person people often overlooked. Reserved, hardworking, and quietly determined. She had spent years working as a part-time librarian while juggling night classes in biology. It was a life of sacrifice, but she didn't complain. Ana had a dream, and nothing, not even her modest upbringing, could deter her. Her family, devoutly religious, had always taught her the importance of values and purity. "Your body is a temple," her mother often said. Ana lived by those words, even if it meant walking a lonelier path. But loneliness wasn't her only companion. There was a deep longing, a void she couldn't quite articulate, a desire for connection, for family, for a life she felt slipping further away with every passing year. And that's why she was here, in this sterile clinic, making a decision that would change her life forever. The consultation room door opened, and Dr. Callahan walked in with the polished confidence of someone used to being obeyed. "Miss Rivera, I hope you're feeling comfortable," he said, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Ana nodded, her palms clammy. She had read countless articles about this procedure, but nothing prepared her for the magnitude of the moment. I just want to be sure everything is safe," she said softly. Dr. Callahan reassured her with practiced ease. "We're the best in the field. You're in excellent hands." Little did Ana know, behind his confident facade lay a man juggling mounting pressures. A recent lawsuit threatened to tarnish the clinic's reputation, and a high-profile client had demanded results that no amount of science could guarantee. Dr. Callahan couldn't afford another failure. Minutes later, Ana lay on the pristine medical bed, the cool gel of the ultrasound probe applied to her abdomen. Dr. Callahan began the procedure, unaware that the vial labeled Jared Armitage had been loaded instead of the anonymous donor she had carefully selected. Unbeknownst to Ana, the same evening Jared Armitage leaned back in his leather chair, sipping a vintage scotch as he surveyed the city skyline from his penthouse. A man of infinite resources and zero patience, Jared had commissioned the clinic services for a different reason altogether. A series of failed relationships and an insatiable ego had left him determined to produce an heir who would carry his name, regardless of any moral or ethical boundaries. His assistant, a sharp-eyed woman named Fiona, entered the room with a folder. "Mr. Armitage, I've followed up with the clinic. Everything is proceeding as planned." "Good," Jared said, his tone clipped. "This time, there can be no mistakes." But mistakes had already been made. In less than 24 hours, Ana Rivera would unknowingly carry his child. A secret that would shatter her world when it came to light. As Ana stepped out of the clinic later that evening, the city buzzed with life around her. She clutched her bag tightly, a faint smile playing on her lips as she thought about the future she was creating for herself. But for every hope she harbored, a shadow loomed larger, and the chain of events set in motion would test her resilience, her faith, and her very identity. The faint hum of city life barely penetrated the thick walls of Ana Rivera's modest apartment. She was settling in for the night, a cup of chamomile tea cradled in her hands. Outside, rain tapped softly against the window pane, creating a rhythm that almost lulled her into a sense of peace. Then her phone buzzed. A message notification lit up the screen with an unfamiliar sender's name, Fiona Larkwood. The subject line read, "Urgent. Confidential information." Ana frowned, her heart skipping a beat as curiosity warred with caution. She opened the email. Inside was a single line. The child you are carrying is not from your chosen donor. Please call me immediately. Her hands trembled. Was this some kind of cruel joke? She reread the message, her mind spinning with possibilities. Her tea, forgotten, grew cold on the table as she dialed the number attached to the email. Hello? A crisp, no-nonsense voice answered on the second ring. This is Anna Rivera. I just received your message. What is this about? Fiona's voice was steady, her words razor-sharp. Miss Rivera, there's been a mistake. Critical one. The embryo you're carrying is not the one you selected. The sperm used belongs to Jared Armitage. Anna's breath caught. Who? She managed to whisper. Jared Armitage, Fiona repeated. Billionaire, media mogul, and someone who cannot find out about this error. The line went silent for a moment, Anna's heartbeat thundering in her ears. The life she had envisioned for herself began to dissolve like sand slipping through her fingers. Anna sat frozen on the edge of her couch, the phone pressed to her ear as Fiona's words echoed in her mind. Her instinct screamed to hang up, to reject this as some kind of elaborate prank. But her gut told her otherwise. How does something like this even happen? Anna finally choked out, her voice laced with disbelief. We're investigating, Fiona replied curtly. But for now, we need your cooperation. This situation must remain confidential. Confidential? Anna's voice rose, her emotions spiraling. You're telling me I'm pregnant with a stranger's child? A billionaire's child? And you want me to stay quiet? Yes, Fiona replied, her tone firm. If Mr. Armitage discovers this, it could lead to legal action, media scandals, and consequences you're not prepared to handle. Anna's world felt like it was collapsing around her. She pressed a hand to her stomach, suddenly hyper-aware of the life growing inside her. This was supposed to be a fresh start, a chance to create a family of her own. Now it felt like she was caught in a storm she couldn't escape. What am I supposed to do? Anna whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. Live your life as planned, Fiona said. We'll handle the rest. But Anna wasn't sure she could. Questions clawed at her mind. What kind of person was Jared Armitage? And what would he do if he found out? The next morning, Anna sat across from her best friend, Lydia, at their favorite coffee shop. Lydia, a fiery redhead with a no-nonsense attitude, listened intently as Anna recounted the conversation from the night before. You're kidding me? Lydia said, her voice a mixture of shock and outrage. How does something like this even happen? Anna shook her head, her hands wrapped tightly around her coffee cup. I don't know, but I feel like my entire life is spinning out of control. Lydia leaned forward, her green eyes blazing. You need to get a lawyer. If they think they can sweep this under the rug, they're dead wrong. I can't afford a lawyer, Anna replied bitterly. And even if I could, what's the point? It's not like I can undo what's already been done. Lydia reached out and gripped Anna's hand. You're stronger than this, Anna. Don't let them intimidate you. Meanwhile, across town, Jared Armitage stood in his sprawling penthouse, oblivious to the chaos brewing. His personal assistant, Fiona, stood by his desk, her face an unreadable mask as she handed him a stack of documents. What's this? Jared asked, flipping through the pages. Preliminary reports from the clinic, Fiona replied smoothly. Everything is proceeding as planned. Jared nodded, satisfied, but Fiona's palms were damp with sweat. She had buried the truth for now, but she knew it was only a matter of time before the cracks began to show. Anna sat at her desk, staring blankly at her computer screen. The hum of her office faded into the background as her thoughts spiraled. For the past week, she had tried to carry on as if everything was normal, but the secret she was harboring weighed on her like a storm cloud. Then, a breaking news alert popped up on her screen. Jared Armitage's face filled the frame, his piercing blue eyes staring out as a bold headline flashed below. Jared Armitage to announce revolutionary family initiative. Anna's heart skipped a beat. She clicked on the link, her pulse quickening as the video loaded. Jared stood on a stage, addressing a room full of journalists. His commanding presence was undeniable. Our legacy isn't built on wealth alone, he said, his deep voice resonating. It's built on family. And I'm proud to share that I am taking steps to ensure the future of the Armitage name. Anna's stomach twisted. Was he referring to the child she was carrying? The timing felt too coincidental to ignore. She closed the video and glanced around nervously. Was someone watching her? Fiona's warning replayed in her mind. If he finds out, it could change everything. That evening, Anna found herself back in her small apartment, cradling a framed photo of her parents. They had passed away when she was a teenager, leaving her to navigate the world alone. "I wish you were here," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I don't know what to do." Tears streamed down her face as she placed a hand on her belly. The life growing inside her felt both miraculous and terrifying. She had always dreamed of being a mother, but not like this, not under these circumstances. Her phone buzzed, interrupting her thoughts. It was Lydia. "Hey, how are you holding up?" Lydia asked, her voice filled with concern. Anna hesitated. "I don't know, Lydia. I feel so lost. What if this child grows up hating me for keeping this secret? What if I'm making the wrong choice?" "You're not alone in this," Lydia reassured her. "You've always been strong, Anna. You'll figure it out." Anna nodded, though doubt lingered in her heart. As she hung up, she resolved to learn more about Jared Armitage. If she was going to protect her child, she needed to understand the man whose bloodline it carried. Anna spent the next day digging through articles and interviews about Jared. The more she learned, the more conflicted she felt. Jared was a complex figure. A man who had built an empire but left a trail of broken relationships and ruthless decisions in his wake. That night, as Anna stepped out of her building to take a walk, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. The tinted window rolled down, revealing Fiona. "We need to talk," Fiona said, her voice low. Anna's pulse quickened as she slid into the car. Fiona handed her a manila envelope. "Inside, you'll find everything you need to know about Jared Armitage. But I need your cooperation, Anna. We can't let him find out." Anna opened the envelope. Inside were documents, photos, and surveillance records. Proof that the clinic's mistake went deeper than she had imagined. "What is this?" Anna asked, her voice shaking. "It's leverage," Fiona replied. "If Jared finds out about the child, he'll do whatever it takes to claim it. This will help you stay ahead." Anna's mind reeled. She didn't want to play games or be caught in a web of deceit, but it seemed she had no choice. The car stopped abruptly, and Fiona turned to Anna. "This is bigger than you, Anna. You need to think carefully about your next move." As Anna stepped out, her resolve hardened. She wouldn't let anyone manipulate her or her child's future. Not Jared Armitage, not Fiona, not anyone. But just as she was about to head inside, she noticed another car parked nearby. A figure sat inside, watching her. Her blood ran cold. Was it Jared? Or someone else entirely? The grand ballroom of the Armitage estate was bathed in golden light, its opulence a stark contrast to the storm raging outside. Rain lashed against the towering windows as Anna stood at the center of the room, her heart pounding like a drum. She clutched a folder of evidence close to her chest, the only shield she had against the man standing before her. Jared Armitage exuded power, his sharp suit and commanding presence making him look every bit the billionaire he was. His piercing blue eyes locked onto Anna's with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "You've gone to a lot of trouble to arrange this meeting, Miss Rivera?" Jared said, his voice low and calculated. "Care to explain why?" Anna took a shaky breath. Her resolve wavered for a moment, but then she thought of the child growing inside her, the life she had to protect. Summoning her courage, she met Jared's gaze head-on. "There's something you need to know," Anna began, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. "The child I'm carrying, it's yours. A mistake at the clinic led to your sperm being used instead of the donor I selected." Jared's expression darkened, his jaw tightening. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the rumble of thunder outside. "Do you have any idea what you're saying?" Jared asked, his tone dangerously calm. "This isn't just about you, Miss Rivera. This is about my legacy, my name." Anna stood her ground. "And what about my life? My choices? I didn't ask for this, but I refuse to let you turn me or this child into a pawn in your games." Jared's lips curled into a cold smile. "You think you can fight me? Do you have any idea who you're dealing with?" Anna's grip tightened on the folder. "I know exactly who you are, Mr. Armitage, and I've come prepared." She placed the folder on the table between them and opened it, revealing documents Fiona had given her. They outlined unethical practices at the clinic, including Jared's influence over its operations. His calculated expression faltered for a moment as he scanned the papers. "What's your angle?" Jared demanded, his voice rising. "Money? Power? What do you want? Anna's eyes burned with defiance. I want you to stay out of my life. This child isn't a business deal, it's a human being. And I'll do whatever it takes to protect it. The tension in the room reached a breaking point as Jared leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. You think you've won? He said softly. You're in over your head. Anna felt the weight of his words, but she refused to back down. Maybe I am, she admitted. But I've faced harder battles than this. I'm not afraid of you. For a moment, Jared seemed to waver. He studied Anna with a calculating gaze, as if weighing his options. Then, to her surprise, he chuckled. A low, humorless sound that sent shivers down her spine. You've got guts. I'll give you that, Jared said. But this isn't over. You have no idea what kind of enemies you're making. Before Anna could respond, the door burst open, and Fiona strode in, her face pale but determined. She held another set of documents in her hands. Mr. Armitage, I think you'll want to see this, Fiona said, placing the papers in front of him. Jared's confident facade cracked as he scanned the pages. These are, Jared began, but Fiona cut him off. Proof of the clinic's malpractice, Fiona said, and evidence linking you to their operations. If this goes public, it won't just be your legacy at stake. It'll be your entire empire. Jared's face hardened, and for the first time, Anna saw genuine fear in his eyes. He turned to Fiona, his voice low and menacing. Why are you doing this? Fiona met his glare without flinching. Because I won't let you destroy another life. Anna deserves the truth, and so does that child. The room fell silent as Jared processed the betrayal. Anna felt a surge of gratitude toward Fiona, but she knew the battle wasn't over yet. Jared finally spoke, his voice cold. What do you want from me? Anna stepped forward, her voice firm. I want you to sign this agreement. You'll relinquish all claims to the child, and in return, I'll keep everything that happened at the clinic confidential. Jared hesitated, his pride warring with self-preservation. But he knew when he was beaten. With a heavy sigh, he picked up the pen and signed the document. As Jared left the room, his shoulders tense with defeat, Anna felt a wave of relief wash over her. She turned to Fiona, who gave her a small, reassuring smile. Thank you, Anna said, her voice filled with emotion. I couldn't have done this without you. Fiona nodded. You're stronger than you realize, Anna. Don't forget that. In the weeks that followed, Anna began to rebuild her life. She left her job at the library and started pursuing her dream of opening a children's education center. With Lydia and Fiona's support, she prepared for the arrival of her child, determined to give them the love and stability she had always longed for. One evening, as she sat by the window, cradling her growing belly, she whispered, We've been through so much already, little one, but I promise, you'll always have a safe place in this world. Outside, the storm had passed, leaving the city bathed in golden light. Anna felt a renewed sense of hope, knowing that she had faced her fears and won. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them. Stronger, braver, and more determined than ever. The nursery glowed in soft pastel hues, the walls adorned with hand-painted clouds and stars. Anna sat in the rocking chair, cradling her newborn son, his tiny fingers wrapped around hers. Tears welled in her eyes, not from fear or uncertainty, but from a deep, overwhelming love she hadn't known was possible. You're everything I never knew I needed, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. And I promise, I'll protect you with all that I am. Lydia stood in the doorway, her face lit up with pride. You did it, Anna. You faced the storm and came out stronger. Anna smiled, her heart full. I couldn't have done it without you, and Fiona. Across town, Fiona sat in her modest apartment, sipping tea as she looked out at the city lights. For the first time in years, she felt at peace. Her decision to stand by Anna had cost her job at the clinic, but it had given her something far more valuable, a sense of purpose and redemption. Jared, too, felt the weight of the choices he'd made. Alone in his penthouse, he stared out at the skyline, his reflection staring back at him. He had lost this battle, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd gained something far more important, a chance to reconsider the man he wanted to be. Anna sat by the window that evening, the baby nestled against her chest. She gazed out at the stars, their light piercing through the darkness. She whispered softly, Life isn't about what we're given. It's about what we make of it. And no matter how messy or unexpected, every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Anna's expression turned to thoughtful. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you fight for your choices even against the odds? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.